give me that. We can go on and start.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order, time being 7 o'clock for the January 8th, 2020 Tilton Budget Committee. And we'll begin this, we do all the pledge allegiance to the flag. Bill, would you lead us in it, please? Would you lead us in it, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And am I the only one here who remembers when under God was the name? Am I the only one old enough to remember?
That was in the 50s.
Yeah, I didn't.
I remember.
I've always said that.
I remember.
I remember.
Yep. It was a big thing, it was a big
I'd
controversy.
like,
Sure, yeah.
I'm just waiting for the time when we just say it through that all the time.
Right, actually, there's a pause in there that we should,
There's tons of them.
yeah, right,
Just
right.
go.
You know, it's just kind of the cadence that you
Yeah. Well, that's okay, I'm Protestant, I'm not going to. I always say, I say the end of the Lord's Prayer at the wrong time, everybody's around the state of heaven. Anyway,
December meetings, we don't
I
have.
don't know if we have the December 18th meeting now. Our secretary resigned, her last night was the 18th, and we have a new secretary, Gail has agreed to do it for us, and Gail Bestick, and she is going to be doing it the way she does the selectmen. She's going to be doing it with the tape recorder, and do we have the tape recorder turned on yet?
We have the movie going.
Okay. We're going to need that, because that's how Gail is going to do the minutes.
So she takes it off the.
Oh, she does take it off the movie, okay.
Doesn't the budget committee have to vote on that?
Not that I'm aware of, Jeannie checked with the, Hampshire Municipal Association,
And there's,
and it's an appointment that can be made by anybody, doesn't have to be voted on by the budget committee. So anyway, if anybody wants to do it, why don't we? I nominate Gail Bestick to be our secretary. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So done. All right, we don't have the December 18th minutes.
No, there was nothing done there.
Okay, so we will get those because that was recorded. And so the next thing we need to do is talk about the public hearing. We're going to have our first public hearing on Wednesday, February 5th. That is my birthday, so everybody remember that. You can sing happy birthday at the public hearing. And we're
We're
going
holding
to,
one on the 15th,
on the 5th.
January 15th?
No, this is February 5th.
Okay.
We're
we
going
have,
to
last week I thought, didn't we talk about the 15th?
I thought we were gonna have one on the 15th, and the
That's-
second one on the
that's-
5th.
No, that's the,
When you have
the police.
Oh, the public
The public-
presentation
public
by the
Police,
police
police,
building.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Study committee.
And then if we need a second one after the 5th, we will have a second one. And there's time to post it.
Okay,
then,
okay. Great.
And Jeannie has taken care of that, and I want to thank Jeannie for doing that. So, Tim, do you have anything to give us on the budget that we need to know before we start going over it line by line?
Just, really just a couple of brief things. One is, the last version of the budget, the selectmen had not completed voting on it, and they have since then. And there was one change, which was in the outside agencies, and that's that they approved $3,000 for Child and Family Services, or Waypoint. And that's on page 13. And the other item is that the revenues have been updated. So you can now see where we ended up with December revenues, so we came in well above our original estimate. So that's good.
Wait,
Ours aren't on here though, on
What did we decide on Waypoint? Did we ever vote on anything?
Yeah,
the,
we
yeah, we
did.
have a list, but
Yeah, I got it somewhere.
So I could have done each of the meetings that you had, but I thought it would be better to leave it blank and just to make sure and confirm with you tonight, the numbers that
there
you
it
have.
is, 2020.
You have them all? Okay.
And then-
Somebody- Okay,
Mine's a copy.
huh? Do you wanna either read, you wanna just make a copy and give it to Tim and you can,
That's fine.
or Tim can make a copy?
So I didn't look at what waypoint was, because that was the question.
Child and family services. So, what we did,
You had nothing next to it.
did they,
Oh, they
did they
show.
present?
Yeah, they did.
So you can-
I think Marina made that copy.
Right, you think that's, I'd have to look at my minutes.
I thought I had it written somewhere.
I have it written down too.
Oh, it's in this, piece.
I got it.
Yeah, so,
Did you just keep the parking road?
yeah, we hadn't voted on it. That was
We
the only
haven't
one still
voted on
left on the
that.
table.
So we hadn't voted on that, yeah, and that's the only one.
That's why,
yeah.
yeah. So, let's see. youth-
Why didn't we vote on that?
Needs to be tabled for some reason?
Are there a bunch of them that haven't been voted on?
No,
No,
all the
just
others
that
we
one.
voted on.
Yeah. Well, that's what.
Community action.
No,
that-
that's the
is
only
that
one we
Cap?
voted on. Yeah.
Is that- Statewide or is that a county?
It's statewide. It's the old Child and Family Services,
Okay, yeah.
and, he did make a presentation. And again, I don't know why we just
So we
voted on it.
decided not to fund Red Cross, right?
That's
Right,
correct.
and nobody showed up.
They offered to, initially they offered to have a phone conversation with us. And then the day of the phone conversation, they said no, they weren't gonna bother.
Always said no.
And that's one that gets enough national funding that I wasn't too concerned. I think everybody else felt that way, and we discussed that.
And then Waypoint came, right?
Waypoint came and made a very good presentation. That's why I don't remember why we didn't vote.
Yeah.
It was tabled the day that happened, and then I think we just never got back to it.
Yeah, I have written down to be determined,
Yeah.
and I don't know why.
I know that I had asked them about, because I haven't checked up here, why there's such a variation of the towns in Belknap County, the variations in what they pay in.
Mhm.
And so I had those typical questions. You know,
Did they answer that?
No. But,
Maybe you're waiting for that information.
it's one of those agencies
I think we better ask.
that does an awful lot for a lot of people.
Yes, it does.
I'd just like to see that, we're all paying the same,
Well, it's
at least percentage, if, we're getting, where's Northfield?
Northfield's paying half of what we are.
So Northfield's paying a little more, right?
They're paying 1,500.
35.
Yes,
Waypoint?
we are.
In the services.
Oh, this is just their other funding source.
Other municipal funding sources. Northfield, 35, we're 3,
What year is that?
It's Ken's
18.
999.
Because here.
Northfield didn't pay them anything in 19, it looks like.
Okay, I see.
And we didn't
No,
vote
we
on
didn't
this
vote
one.
on
We
at
didn't, it doesn't look like we paid
all.
them.
So we're trying to determine, get ourselves up to speed, I guess.
The only comment I'll make about them is that they've had problems in the last 2 or 3 years. They had the same woman who was a director for years and years and years and years.
No, I remember.
And then she left, and they've had trouble getting someone. Now, this year, they had the same person they had last year. So I think that they're back on track in terms of that. And we do a lot of services for this community. I know that for a fact also.
Well, it's like to know that, it doesn't look like they get any funding from Laconia. Well, Laconia must have got a lot of services.
Right.
Who was this again, sorry?
And I always hate it when you ask them, and they say, well, we haven't gone there, we don't go there, But their services are varied, family counseling.
They also do court appearances with people. They get involved in domestic violence issues.
Wait, Family Services does?
Yeah,
Waypoint?
yeah,
Really?
uh-huh. All of us know somebody who works there too, so.
Oh, you've got an in.
Well, no, I just, the nurse there, their services are very, very,
Well, oh. I didn't see that in there. They don't really list their services.
They must get government funding, right?
I know they get some state funding. I don't know about that. I assume they would get federal funding as well.
Yeah, family counseling support
Okay.
program, who came Spalding.
We get the way government contracts are 5,000,008.
Yeah.
Program services, endowments. I wonder which one we're under. Miscellaneous?
Guess it looks like in 2019, we didn't approve them at all.
Well, we didn't because he didn't show up.
Okay.
He was the one, remember, he was brand new,
Okay.
and, both times he was supposed to show up.
Uh-huh.
His boss told him not to, he had something else he needed him to do.
Uh-huh.
So we decided that we weren't important enough for them to show up and even make a presentation, we weren't gonna fund them. I believe that's why we didn't fund them.
Okay, yeah,
Not that we didn't think their services were valuable, but we
sure, yeah.
felt like it was a slap in the face not to show up.
Right.
Well, to get us started, I make a motion to fund them for $3,000. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Well, can we discuss?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Discussion.
I just said that.
Sorry.
Punch me, I'm unthankful.
For Waypoint?
So I
What was their
see,
budget? I didn't see their actual budget.
You got this sheet?
well, 2019, they mimicked for 2020 the exact figures, so they're saying like level funding, so they're not actually giving us a budget. And it's probably because of the change in people.
Yeah.
She had to just put in something.
So they, a pretty big company, look at all the towns they're after, they look like,
Statewide.
I wasn't here for the presentation, so.
Yeah.
Statewide.
They're fairly large.
Did anyone ask if we didn't fund them, if it would affect any of their services?
He said that it would not affect their services.
He said it would not affect their services, okay.
They
This is
maintain a
another-
loss all the time.
This is another agency, you'll see, is funded by Belknap County, so we're already funding them through our Belknap County
Here's the
taxes.
income statement here, okay.
Are they funded by Belknap County?
It's right on their application.
Did you receive money from Belknap in 18? No, 19? No.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
See, I know that Belknap cut back on a lot of things.
They did.
This is a company that has a, sorry.
And I was just gonna say, I know they picked up Genesis, but I didn't look to see if they picked up Waypoint. I think it would have been right near Genesis in that column if they had, so they probably didn't. So retract that comment about Belknap County.
Their total operating budget is like $26 million too, so.
And the income statement, Lakes Region.
Yeah, they only do the Lakes Region area. Well, they're statewide.
Well, that's all we would probably get, because that would be, that's
This
not
is
really
relevant
what we
to our-
consider
Oh,
too.
so it'd only be so it's only the $396,000 budget for that one facility that we're trying to fund.
And they have a schedule of expenditures of federal awards, so anything they get from the feds, it looks like it has to specifically go to something.
Yeah,
Their total revenues are
So they
14
can't
million.
control it.
and that happens with Genesis too, because I know that I had a big problem with them in the past.
Right.
And then I found out that that was not their fault, that they
Now their checking account limit.
were locked into it.
I don't think we should fund for the 3,000. Think about saying.
Based on what?
They're a big company, and like you said, it wouldn't affect their services if we didn't pay them. So why would we spend the taxpayers' money? This is a the part that'll help lower the tax rate. Every little bit counts, so.
Well, actually, if you take that, I think there are only two that would affect their services, and that's Yap and the Pines.
We should
And
cut
we
down
level
on that.
funded the fines, we didn't give them.
Yeah, we didn't give them what they wanted,
Just because-
And YAP did level funding also.
yeah, but they only asked for level funding.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting is, they're asking,
I'm sorry,
in
Kathy.
2017, Guilford gave them 3,000, it looks like they stopped funding them.
I just want $3,000 is gonna make a difference to their services. They said it would affect their services, so that's just not funded if it's not gonna affect their services.
We gave 2017 and
No, we're just
18.
doing it to feel good, I mean.
Meredith pays 6,000,
5
and Hampton,
5.8 from government grants.
Exeter 7,500.
Do they have,
They're asking about 75,000 from this, from these towns total.
Yeah, I think we,
there's a grant
they
for
gave,
750,000?
yeah,
But they have a $14 million revenue stream.
Yeah,
yeah, and they're always running in the hole. According to their
Okay.
budget.
What's that?
They're always running in the red.
negative.
That's just bad
Probably
bookkeeping.
I
normal.
think
Don't
that's
spend it if you don't have it.
Right.
Yeah, because they want to help everybody.
Looks like they had a surplus 2019. 46.
In their budget? I don't have the actual here, I have, well, 2019,
Well, the Waypoint Board approved operating budget for 2019.
it says deficit.
Take it.
It says
Actual,
operating net-
7,800.
net surplus, deficit would be in
In brackets.
brackets, yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at it, it says in brackets.
It's-
What
Oh,
one you
this
put-
one is in.
Oh, that's
brackets.
because they got that Realty Corp net to offset it.
Yeah, then is that a Realty Corp net surplus?
I don't know what that is.
That's a deficit.
Oh, yeah,
So they
deficit.
paid out whatever surplus they had, they paid out to somebody.
Yeah,
So
but
that
they're,
they would have a zero.
your next page shows the actual for June, through June 30th anyways.
Of this area.
Yeah, so that one shows 0, yeah.
Any other discussion?
I would like to look at the minutes, because I thought there was a reason we didn't vote on them, and it would be in the minutes.
Well, we do have to make.
What time, when did we meet them, with them?
I just don't wanna approve this because it feels good to approve stuff.
Pardon?
Like, I don't wanna just be nice and approve it just because it feels good or whatever. I wanna make sure we're doing it. I just don't think
Do you
we should
remember
approve
when
this
they
stuff.
came?
Last
Is that
note
what
from
it
me.
was? Oh,
Yeah.
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 It doesn't affect services.
She just put TBD and there's no date on it. The agenda will show it.
Well, we didn't show why we didn't.
No, but it show, oh, here, Waypoint. The entity was not funded by Tilton last year due to not attending reviews. They did attend the review this year. They do serve towns who did not fund them, Tilton.
That's all.
No.
We found the minutes right here.
Well, I found where we discussed it, I don't know if they just came that day, let's see, Health, Public.
Rules minutes.
What date?
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, okay, that's community action. This one only has one paragraph on 12-4.
What were we talking about then?
It just says what, all it says is that we didn't fund them last year because they didn't attend, but they did attend this year, and they do serve towns who do not fund them. Tilton has historically funded them until last year. Item was tabled for further review.
Okay,
So I don't know when they came in though.
Well, he's got that.
I thought at that point.
It must be the one before.
Why the further review would have been.
December
Oh,
11th.
They may have.
This one's December 4th, so
So it'll be
what was
December.
before December 4th? November 20th?
Yeah.
First to present, future in sight. No, we can't do that.
our minutes should have little times beside some of the paragraphs, so you know where to find it in the movie.
I see also we have very few minutes online. So I think it's because they haven't been submitted.
Ted's looking at the agendas.
The town clerk tax collector has them, I'll get them from her, but otherwise, if somebody has a complete set, I'll scan them through my.
Okay.
I have two that I wrote on.
I have both of them, so I think in order to.
You do? Okay.
That's future insight on November. So, did we have a meeting the week before December 4th?
Yeah.
That was.
No, that's
that was
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Okay, so then
So
November
we-
20th was the
yeah.
one before, and that's not when they presented, so it has to
Yeah.
be 7 days before that,
We don't have
the
minutes for it.
13th.
Right.
They have it on the sheet here, and she has when you approve things.
Right, but not the
Yeah, I've
date
got
they came
that
in.
too, but I don't have a minute.
On that table is all of Marina's stuff from budget.
So, Yak came in October 9th.
Lake Point was on October
dig.
9th. I just found the agenda. We presented October 9th, so
Make sure you keep that in order, Dick.
we just have to find October 9th minutes.
I have October 9th minutes.
All right, great.
All right, Dick, we found them.
You did?
So, they came in
Yay!
that day.
That's what's on the
Just
agenda.
start looking.
So youth assistance came first. Next to Justice Committee, Waypoint.
Yeah.
They have served 23 individuals from Tilton with their family counseling and support, family aid, Camp Spalding, scholarships, and additional services. 731 hours of services were provided. Chairman Alden asked how many children from Tilton have been served, and there were 23. Chairman Alden asked how much funding they received from other communities. They applied to 60 towns overall in New Hampshire. Mr. Olson, you were here,
Oh,
asked how many individuals were served overall. They serve over 8,000, so 8,000, and they served
20 here.
23.
children.
Although the number fluctuates, the number served in Tilton was 23, down slightly from last year. Usually professionals refer clients, but they accept self-referrals. They run 24 programs across the state. Mr. Lawrence asked if the program was originally run by the state. They were founded in 1850 as a missionary society. The majority of their funding is federal and state, however, their monies are designated for certain programs. I know the federal is, because we just saw that. Mr. Olson asked how request amounts are determined. They look at the numbers served over the years. None of the programs offer earned money. They ask for money from the towns to defer costs as they do not turn clients away. As there were no further questions, blah, blah, blah. So, they didn't say how they determined their budget, they just put 3,000.
they just grab a number out of the air and say, that's good.
Well,
that's what they-
that's what we funded in the past. I think that's what they went by.
Yeah.
I don't think it's spreading from the
So
air.
8,020, and they served 8,000, we got 23, I'll tell you the percentage.
So like-
0.002, 875.
Yeah, 0.2%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
002. 0.02 would be 2%, correct?
Well, I don't know, because the question I asked was how many children. And how many children as opposed to how many families, that's two different things. I don't think you can make that determination. You see
No.
what I'm saying?
They said 23 people.
23 children.
What is their,
People.
yeah, she did ask for children. So on here, they said, no, they said
I asked for
residents.
children because he was talking about the
Well, we
Spalding
know-
youth.
So they must have only served children because their application says 23
No.
also.
So there's a parent aid program, and it said 11 individuals served.
Yeah.
Those are adults.
Yeah.
then
And I
two
know they work
family
with
support,
Spalding.
4 family
Not even
counseling,
1%.
and 6 Spalding. And it
Yeah.
says we only used, in Tilton, they only used family counseling, family support, parent aid, and Camp Spalding.
And they help with scholarships to Spalding.
But
Isn't that what you read?
Yeah, family aid,
Right,
Camp
that's-
Spalding, scholarships,
it's an overnight.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if the 731 hours were for the 23 individuals or,
Families or what?
It's total hours, 23 is 7, 131.5 hours. 20.5 hours was family counseling, 43.25 was family
you got it.
support, 667 hours was parent aid, and then 96.43 day. Yeah, parent aid program
Is that an educational program?
is an on and off-site supervised visit program that helps maintain parent-child bonds, provides emotional support, community resources, parenting education, and strategies for families who are involved in child protective services. So that by far was
That is pretty important.
the most
Yeah,
amount of time.
Yeah.
I know that when Heather's been in here in the past and she didn't come in here this year, it's been one of the ones that she's,
Sheesh,
Yeah.
okay, of course, yeah, well, it sounds important.
well, we have a motion on the table. Is there any more discussion?
I'm with Dick though, I don't, you know, the more money we can save the taxpayer, the better. And
You gotta think about these old people that we are pushing out of their homes. We've raised the tax rate a lot last few years, and there's a few of my neighbors that now have to move. So I have to face them, so.
Right,
So do I.
this group definitely is getting a lot of federal, state funds.
They just wouldn't affect
In the
services. I
millions.
think we need to do want versus need. You start weighing that instead of just being really for the.
All right, all those in favor of $3,000, please say aye.
I,
All those opposed?
I,
Okay, so we won't fund them. Does anybody want to?
what's the count?
How does people feel about a reduced funding, or just not at all?
No, no,
What's the count?
It was 3-3, I said.
3-3?
Oh, 3
Oh, I didn't know you voted.
Yeah, I said, yeah.
So it's 3-3, so
So it's,
it's a tie.
yeah,
Cool.
That was Waypoint?
Yeah.
Awesome.
so we need to discuss it later?
That may be why we tabled it in the first place.
Right.
So it's not a zero right now, it's just blank.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I have.
well,
We'll
The
come back.
motion to
Why
fund
don't we
them
come back
failed.
to that?
Yeah.
so unless we
Motion
make
to
another
deny their
motion.
funding.
You're making a
They're-
motion to
I'm
deny
making
their
a
funding?
motion to deny the funding, sorry.
Is there a second?
Motion to deny their funding. Okay, second, conversation.
Second. Any discussion?
This is a new one.
I don't
So,
know if we should deny
you
it.
understand that that's not,
That's what I'm.
you can make that motion, but somebody can make a motion to fund them.
Yep.
Okay,
Done last year.
I'm just
All
saying,
right,
it's not
we have a
binding.
motion and a second. No more discussion. All in favor?
I was still talking.
All those in favor?
Oh, do you still want to discuss
I
this?
still want to discuss it a little.
All
Okay,
right.
sure.
But I just think we should fund them at all, zero right now, that's all.
I think they offer us some valuable services.
I would
I'm
say-
not in
But
favor
we're
of
not
funding
affecting their
them all.
services by not funding them.
Right, but just looking at all the other towns that actually fund them, to me, shows that they're legitimate, so that they're obviously doing something right.
Or that just those towns, just
It's
Northfield
not
get
like
them.
the companies that comes in and we're the only people that
Not
give them
this
money.
year.
Northfield's one I always follow, like, they're always the ones that are ahead of us, like, their tax rate went down. Our tax rate's going up. like-
Their tax rate, yeah, but their tax rate went down for a different reason.
Northfield didn't fund them last year.
Tilton's tax rate didn't go
So
up.
it's like,
1.something%.
it's like all the neighbors
Yeah.
don't fund them.
Yeah.
Sanborn
I know it's hard
didn't
to say
fund
no,
them
but
last year.
Everyone wants to
I
be
got
like,
that, I didn't have to.
like,
Tilton
It's my money,
didn't
I'm-
fund them last
But
year.
they never showed up.
2%.
They
No,
didn't
it
show
went
up.
down.
They never spoke last year, that's
Town
why.
of
Tilton's tax
Gilford
rate
didn't
went
fund
down.
them last year. Town of Guilford
We
didn't
just got
fund them last
reassessed, which
year.
Yeah.
got us,
Assessments went up.
So don't say that Tilton's tax rate went up, it did not.
We bonded some too.
well, that's
Our
why
taxes
when
went
we were
up. Our tax rate
discussing,
might not have, but our taxes have.
Yeah.
We didn't
Way up.
say it.
because of the assessed value, that's why I mentioned in the discussion before about reducing the amount given to them, but nobody,
I was hoping that we
made
were bonded,
comments,
that
so
would
I-
make
that would
the tax
be
rate
me,
go
but I
over
just need to
crazy to
think.
make it went
What do you want to do?
well, that's why I was asking how people thought
We're
about
just gonna
that.
send the debt
I
forever,
would be in
so
favor
have a
of reducing it.
huge
You want to
What do
reduce
you
it?
think, half?
debt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They won't be
but
here
the
when it
motion on the
happens.
floor is for not.
I know.
okay. So we have any more discussion then about not funding them at all? All right, all those in favor of not funding them at all?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Right, yeah,
All right, is there another motion to fund them or something?
How about we make a motion to give a reduced amount of,
yeah. 15.
1,500 to just not be to zero. So motion, I make a motion to fund, what is this? Waypoint for 1,500.
I'll second. All those, is there discussion on that?
Yeah, why are we,
Why even do, they even said it wouldn't affect their services, I don't know why we even went into that.
yeah, why are we doing that?
Because
Well,
I
I
think
feel
they
it's
offer a
legitimate.
valuable service and they do
Well, it wouldn't
service.
affect their service,
No, but everybody says
why
that.
spend the money?
Well,
all-
it
all
wouldn't
the-
affect
all the-
anybody except the pines.
Yeah.
No, it does affect it. Cap said that would reduce them a day if we funded them, defunded them that fast, remember? So we chose not to
Not
defund them as fast.
this last year they didn't.
This year, that's why we went to 12,000 instead of, I wanted to go to 6,000. I said, what if we went to 6,000 this year? And they said it would close us down to a day.
Well, they cut it way down to 12.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
their
cut down
request
for a lot.
was cut down.
They cut it in
I
half.
think they did a great job this year coming back.
Yeah,
with it.
their
Right,
request, they used
sure,
to be
they're great.
Right,
26,000.
they've been asking for us forever and just take.
Well, no, I know, but they took what we talked about last year, we said, can you make it more equitable, and they did, so.
I think this organization will not be affected by the town of Tilton not funding them. I think that.
But wouldn't most of these not be affected? I mean,
Exactly.
which,
That might
which
count.
ones?
That's
Why-
the
why
way
are
I
we-
feel, so
why-
why are we funding them? Over $171,000 we give to outside agencies?
Oh, I-
And why?
Easy to say.
Are we revisiting all of the outside agency
I'm not ready to
votes?
revisit all of them, how about any, how does other people?
No,
feel
we
about
can
it?
do that at town meeting.
Sure. I feel
Oh.
that they provide a valuable service which we really need more and more of because of the mental state of our country right now. So to me, if there's people out there that can help people, we should be helping them a little bit.
I agree, Bill.
I agree, but it's not, we're not stopping their help from our money. Our
We are.
$3,000 will make a difference.
Okay,
Less
Doesn't make a
money
difference.
does make a difference.
I agree.
They run a
We're not gonna
deficit
get-
every year.
They may not get that much federal anymore, who knows?
They do.
Where
All
it's
right,
going.
well, we have a motion on the floor, we had a second, we discussed it, and we're just continuing to rehash the same discussion, so let's take a vote on it. All those in favor of funding them for $1,500, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Please let the record show I voted no.
I think it will show that.
4 to
Was
2.
it 4-2 affirmative?
Mhm.
So it was 1,500?
Yeah. All right, so now that's all the outside agencies, is that correct? I don't think we have any on the hand.
Sorry, this is-
I use this every year,
Well,
so I can compare.
you don't have anything next to,
Future Insight was zero.
That was zero.
We
you
voted.
did voted on that?
Yeah.
Right, right.
And
Red Cross is
Red Cross is
It was
zero.
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 And then Lakes Region Planning?
That was not something that we, it was, that's a contract item, so it was not
So
appropriate.
you're in favor of that?
Yeah,
What
but
is it?
it's a contract, it's not a,
It's
it's
still
not a
something,
donation.
no, but it's still something you would vote on in the overall budget.
Where is it?
So if the budget committee voted for, no for Lakes Region Planning, it wouldn't be in the budget, and the selectmen would, if they chose to continue with Lakes Region Planning, would have to find it in the budget. Or go to town meeting and say, please put this in.
The way it was explained to me was that it was a contract item that was done, so it's not anyplace else in the budget.
It doesn't have to, no, it's nowhere else in the budget.
Okay.
It does not have to be, the contract doesn't have to be executed. It
That's
doesn't,
right.
Okay,
approved.
all right, then, I.
It looks like we did vote on it, because I voted no. $36.40.
Yeah,
And
Awesome.
the only reason I know that is I voted no.
you know why you voted no?
They're asking
I
for more
didn't think
money.
we, I didn't think we voted,
That's what I have.
oh,
There's nothing on the sheet that
yeah,
she had.
Tracy, members' dues is on here.
And go back to all the items if we lost them, if you guys.
This is my writing. Something about a circuit person, I don't know what that means, but. Yeah, Marina didn't write it, but I did.
we have a, well, Tracy's written on here, but I don't know what
Yeah,
that
this is
Tracy.
Marina's, where's your copy? You would have wrote on your copy. These
Well,
are
I-
mine. This is my copy, and I wrote 3640, that it did pass, but I put it on, that's all I know.
It
Maybe
didn't
you're just
have-
making a note to yourself to vote
Yeah, I
no.
think so, because.
No, because over here it says me no, and the amount 3640, and I checked it off. I wouldn't check it off if it
Because
didn't
we
vote.
talked about the fact that we have a representative that goes, that is there, I forget who it is now. It used to be Dari, I don't know who it is now.
I believe it's our public works director, isn't it?
Kevin,
This-
that might be.
I wrote something that they must be funded by membership dues or something like that, members,
Yeah,
oh,
I
it's
thought we
like
were-
members
and
dues.
I thought we were members and we paid a membership, that's why I thought we didn't vote on it.
Last I
Right,
knew
but
it,
it
we
was just
weren't,
funding.
didn't have any really authority
No.
over it, but I.
That's what I
The
thought.
budget committee
Well,
has authority over the,
over every
everything,
line.
every line,
Okay.
every penny.
And maybe that's why I checked it out, thinking if that, if it was mentioned that,
So you're not sure if you voted on Lakes Region Planning or not?
I have it checked out. But if we wanna vote, we can vote.
Make a motion to fund Lakes Region Planning,
I'll second.
For 3640.
that's what the thing is.
Yeah, that's what it
Now,
says.
okay, we have a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
What is this about? I just missed that.
Lakes Region
Lakes
Planning.
Region,
Plan.
They're very helpful for the planning board. Any questions that
Oh,
they
Is
that's
there
have.
like a
what I
resource
heard
for
this
them?
Yes.
Okay.
And they are.
And not
huge
just the planning
resource.
board.
Huge.
Even
They're like,
I
they're
use them
like your guys'
myself.
Yeah,
like,
no,
professional,
because
are they like a lawyer or something that's on retainer or something?
No, they're
Or-
planners.
Plan.
Oh, they're just planners on retainer.
I mean, they do watershed programs for the whole
You just
area.
bump
They help
questions
do
off them
the,
and
they help
they'll
do the
give
grant
you
for
guys
Ernie's.
right
So any
information.
question you have on, like, I most recently called them to see breakdown of miles of roads, class 2, class 1 towns, but, you know.
What line is this?
They also
Personnel
help us,
agencies,
page 20.
they also help us with
They have
interviews.
all types
Right,
of
yeah.
maps.
They're just a resource.
Over my 20 years, I've participated a dozen times in various studies they've done.
Well, they're the main reason we got Ernie's, aren't they? Isn't that how Ernie's all started with Lakes Region Planning? Working with Joyce?
That was the Conservation Commission,
But I
You've already
think
rendered
Lakes
us a
Region
service,
Planning was
right?
involved in it somehow.
only because they,
Not for
Call them.
2020,
They
but
got-
this is
got
just
them
funding that
involved
amount
to
for the
get
services
some-
for the next year.
did we vote on Lakes Region Mental Health? Maybe that's where my note is.
Yeah, that's
You did.
Genesis.
All right.
all the question.
All right,
So that's sweet.
any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Right.
All right.
All opposed?
Nay.
One opposed.
Not exactly sure, but that's my answer.
Right, so now your outside agencies.
Now they're all taken care of. All right.
they're all done.
All right, now, let's go to budget. And you did give us a new one for tonight, right?
Yes, I did. Yep, it has updated 2019 figures in it, as well as reflect, the only caveat on that front page, where you see the warrant articles for the police building bonds, sewer bonds, so on and so forth. The collective bargaining agreement, warrant article 5, the CBA cost items, that's still being negotiated, so we don't have a number on that yet.
What about number 8? Is that the number, 9,000?
Yes.
What's this first column?
Which column?
What is it?
That is, so that was from this last year.
Oh, okay.
So we did, that line should have, on the left, warrant article 7 was for the reval, so we put in 5,000 last year. Or we put in 9,000 this year. Last year, we did not put any money into the milfoil fund.
That's sad. I live on a lake. It's a bad deal. We should really put some more fun in that.
We didn't last year because they didn't have any clear programs to use it. Now they do. Last year was the first year they actually
Yeah, they spent,
had an
Lake Silver, I don't know if
organization.
you guys know, I go out there all the time, and it's pretty bad. Like, if you unclog your motor, like, every, like, a few hundred feet if you run it all the way down.
Yep.
Late in the summer, so. I think we should try to do something with that.
This is the request from Conservation Commission. They have a lot of programs this year.
How much is the request for that?
to put in an additional 6,000. We had about 9,000 at the beginning of 2019. We spent about a little over 5,000, and then this will bring, with the $6,000, we'll bring it back up to about 10. And that was, they did 2 programs that they paid.
In
One
Lake
was-
Silver?
One was Silver Lake and one was Winnisquam.
Now, do they choose which side they go on or where they go in that lake? What's their methodology for that?
That I have no idea.
They treat properties in Tilton, like I know they do Jay's Marina Cove, because that's one of the worst spots, but they don't go across the lake and do Belmont with our money theoretically.
But that's what a lot of the area's been done this year at least.
Yeah.
There's something was getting done this year though, but not enough. Very little impact. At least that leaks over this year.
The warrant articles are voted by the town, right, not us?
Well,
Well, we recommend or
You will,
or
yeah.
don't recommend.
Okay.
Okay,
that
So
doesn't-
we know about the police building bond.
yeah.
Was I not here on the sewer bond?
That's a new one.
We just got an email on that.
Yeah.
A bunch of
We-
emails I haven't
Yeah.
looked at.
It's just basically they're putting that much out for work, extending the sewer line.
Oh,
down
that's
past
gonna
the
happen in
school,
2020,
down,
okay.
yeah.
This is the sewer extension.
And I'm sure if you wanted more information on any of those, I believe your meeting on the 15th,
I was gonna say,
the police building is coming in to do a
Yeah,
presentation for you, and I'm sure you could
Okay.
arrange that with sewer.
That'd be good.
And the other ones, the highway equipment, roads, bridges, sidewalks, reval, and milfoil are all pretty much the standard ones we do each year. The amounts vary from year to year, but those are our capital reserve funds.
and when are those gonna be ready from the selectmen?
I believe tomorrow night they're gonna be voting on the warrant articles. I think that's the
So
plan.
next week we'll have those?
If they vote on them.
I thought we voted on last week,
I
except for the,
talked to Jeannie about it, and,
yeah, I know we voted on the sewer bond.
right, to have it on there, yeah. I asked her if it was ready, and she said no. So, not that particular one, but in general, so there's something
Yeah,
else.
because we haven't voted on the
Something else
collective
needs
bargaining
work on.
agreement.
Right, and that isn't gonna be anytime soon, unfortunately.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to bring to the floor for discussion, administration, which is
Which is,
That's-
130 through,
Okay,
Well, it's page 1 through 3, and the
Yeah.
total department request was $653,811.
second that motion.
discussion.
okay. These are all salaries.
So I can give you a little, just a little refresher on this. I've gone through this with you before.
Yeah, I know.
But some of the bigger items that changed were our town hall maintenance and repairs line. We have a reduction in that money. We're encumbering some money into 2020 for work that wasn't completed by the end of 2019.
What line is that, Tim?
That's on page 3, it ends in 440, 4194.
That includes this monstrosity here they're building?
No, well, there are items in that, but
How much, do we get a total project cost on that or anything?
it's
Being built by.
all been done by Public Works, so, with the exception of the electrical, so.
The hourly rate of them still costs us something.
It does, yes, and I can figure that out for you. The majority of it's been done by a salaried person, so.
He could be doing other things.
That's correct, yeah. So in any case, that town hall maintenance and repairs line is a significant reduction. The police building study committee, that's a significant reduction, as their charge will be complete at this town meeting. And then in terms of increases, probably the largest here is our workers' comp line. And there's two reasons for this. The majority of that increase is because we had a premium holiday the year prior, and our premium was greatly reduced because of that. They don't do that every year, but we'd had very low claims experience with them. And unfortunately, in the time since we had that premium holiday, our claims have increased. So, but the majority of that $26,000 increase is due to the premium holiday.
Premium holiday, that's what they call it?
That's what they call it, yeah.
Yeah, I just never
It's
heard that term.
basically when they're accumulated, because it's a nonprofit, when the accumulated amounts, you know, get to a certain point, they essentially refund the member organizations.
So we've been with this company for a long time, then,
We
this
have,
hey, it's just the same company once in a while.
But basically, the drop in those other two programs washed this out.
That's right.
So it means the rest of the budget is pretty much level.
Yeah,
Right, in total, we're down $143
Right.
from the budget last year, and that's also absorbing some of the other thing that's large this year is we have 4 elections in 2020 versus the 1 election we had in 2019, and those really generate a lot of expense. So you'll see that in the moderators line, the supervisors of the checklist line, those are both on page 2.
Could cut down on the pizza.
The election and registration line, which is
isn't
also
that donated?
on page 2.
I think it-
No, it's not done.
Wasn't it at one time?
It may have been, but
Maybe
it
years.
hasn't been for years.
That's good
Yeah,
for
but
morale.
in the last couple of years, they've had people bring in potluck.
Oh, that,
Too, so.
I wouldn't doubt it, yes, yeah.
So what, you pay for the pizza, is that from that? That's
We
Yeah,
pay for-
pizza's at the end of the night, potlucks during the day.
We have $815 in food and refreshments for all 4 events, all 4 elections.
Which I don't think
They also have other sessions too, where they have to go through tests, ballot tests and things of that sort. So there's a lot that they do when they're, you know, even outside of the voting. But those lines on page 2, you'll see that again in the town clerk tax collector's budget, but that's one of the other dynamics this year. And of course, that generates, you know, we have to print more ballots, we have to reconfigure the voting machine each time, and there's one company that's permitted to do it in New Hampshire. Everybody has to use it, everybody has to pay them their fee that has one of these machines, and it's just, there's not any kind of wiggle room in any of that.
How about reappraisal of property? We just had that done, right?
Yes, so each year, so the selectmen signed into a 5-year agreement with the same company, Avatar. And so they provide 2 services. One is they're here each month and they provide assessing and data verification services during those years when we don't have a reval. And then in the revaluation year, they're not only doing the assessing services and data verification, but they're also doing the full reval services. So that's doing the manual, that's coming up with all the, you know, the formulas, and then meeting with people. And they also are the company that will support our values in court if we end up in court.
Was our other agreement 5 years?
Yes, yeah.
So that
We're
because it's a long
required.
time, and that's why it would go.
Yeah, we're required by law to do it at least once every 5 years. There are some towns that split it up where they do 20% a year, or they're on a different schedule. One of the challenges that we have outside of the town's taxes are for fire and school district, because we're in with Northfield and the fire district. They're on a different assessing schedule than we are. And even though the state goes through a process of equalization of values, it's not a perfect kind of thing. In fact, while we saw a $120 million increase in our valuation from 18 to 19 in our reval, the town of Northfield's valuation actually went down during that same time. So,
What company do they use?
Yeah, right.
I know, cross country,
I'm all for that.
at least last night. But in any case, so that impacts us at the fire district.
Question, I don't know, okay, I don't mean to get, but did Cross Country pitch to us too, or do we just go right
No.
with Avatar?
I don't know that the selectmen reviewed anybody else. Was it
No,
simply
they did
Avatar?
not.
That's
Dang,
selectmen's
yes,
choice. So and the other thing is the school, because Samerton's on a different schedule than Tilton than Northfield, so it complicates things, even with the state trying to keep everybody on a level playing field. But we are 1 year back on equalized value and pure equalized value for the fire district formula. So right now, we're at about a 62% portion of their budget. In 2020, we'll be at about a 64% portion of their budget. So with the school, it's a similar kind of thing, except it's 70% equalized value and 30% average daily membership. So, and that's 2 years back on value, 1 year back on membership. So anyway, sorry for the digression, but anyway, that is essentially the major points in the administrative budget. We are putting in some new money for doing digital maps that will be online and allow people.
The GIS.
The GIS maps, so
That'd be nice.
that is a new item in there.
Which will be very helpful.
It is, I use it all the time.
Yeah, it's a very standard product that, right now, we just have paper maps, if you will, that are in PDF form. This company right now, the selectmen authorized in 2019 to have this company digitize and create shapefiles for all of our parcels.
Oh, really?
So by doing that, then they can be put on the website. You can click on a parcel, you can see who owns it, you can see who abuts it. You can actually generate a butters
Oh,
list.
nice, not to have to go through the list,
All
go
kinds
through
of-
each tax card. Nice.
It has a number of different things. You can put layers of things on top of it, so.
Yeah.
Different
And that's-
ones, yeah.
Right, and that's, so the money was being paid out of 2019 for the conversion, which is $6,000. Each year, we'll pay $3,000 for the service to have it updated or have it on the website. And then the updates, because we have so few parcel changes, lot line adjustments, subdivisions, things of that sort, that we just opted to do time and materials because it was a lot less expensive than having a contractual amount, set amount every year.
It's gonna be very helpful, even in planning board.
So I guess that's the one new item that's in the administrative budget.
Now, why, merit raise pool, what's the story, 520% increase, what's the story on that?
So-
Briefly, I don't need to go
Yeah,
into a lot.
okay, so just recall that the merit raise pool is actually distributed when the selectmen authorize the merits. They're actually budget transferred out of the merit line and into the individual salary lines.
Okay.
And so therefore, what you're seeing here is the calculation of a 2.5% merit across the people that would be eligible for it. It doesn't necessarily mean everybody's gonna get 2.5%. And you can see, because there's money left over, the selectmen did
Yeah, I
not
see that.
allocate everything.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions? All right, I'll make a motion to fund administration for $653,811. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I'll make a motion to bring town clerk tax collector to the floor in the amount of $135,077.
What was that, I'm sorry?
It's
Some
it's
tax
on page-
collector.
Tax collector.
it's on page 4.
It's on page
Yep, yep.
3 and 4, yeah.
3 and 4. Discussion?
The election, that's related to the election, yeah.
Correct.
Town clerk tax collector, I think that is for.
You're the top one.
Everybody's 2%, but she's got 3 there. Didn't we allow the town to vote on her?
Yes, we
salary
have it for the
last-
last 2 years.
It's required by law.
So do we need it on here, or how does that work?
So the selectmen for years would change the amount that she put in.
Yeah,
And then we discovered that that was an error.
Yeah.
But the legislative body determines what her wage is. So the board of selectmen don't alter it in any way.
okay, so then we don't need to have that on there, because the town meeting's gonna vote,
Correct.
just like last year.
So they will have this in front of them. However, if you were to zero it, If you were to leave it blank,
Yeah.
then inadvertently, it can be omitted from the budget.
Then you wouldn't have the money.
Oh.
You wouldn't have time to put a tax collector,
That's
right, and look for that wage.
Yeah, we'd have to make some changes to the revenues. We wouldn't be collecting much money there.
So at town meeting, she gets up and says something, doesn't she? To get
If she
the
doesn't
salary?
agree with what we've approved, right?
Well, I think what Selectman Dawson is saying
Yeah.
is that by passing it through and bringing it forward as Budget Committee approved, you're approving it to be brought forward that amount to town meeting. And invariably, there are people that ask about it each year and,
Because
pointing out.
I think she got 2.5 last year.
um,
And she had to stand up, if I remember.
Well, if you notice so underneath that, there's an
I just think it's-
explanation.
Where is it?
Underneath
Didn't we
it
vote
says,
Oh, yeah.
town,
Must be voted on at
TCTC's
town
salary
meeting.
increase must be voted on at the town
Okay.
meeting. She is seeking a 3% increase.
Yeah. And the Board of Selectmen voted to leave all these notes in for the town report, so that anybody looking through this budget, will see these notes.
I like that.
And we did that last year as
Yeah.
well.
Sweet.
So it's very transparent.
Yeah.
So we
Right,
read
right,
that
I
about
love
it.
that.
That's good.
Exactly.
Love it.
I have
So
to
just
check-
know what
you're voting for.
Check my spelling before.
At town meeting, do we go through each department? Or just the whole budget? So if nobody brings this up, then
Then it
she
goes
gets more
through,
than
yeah.
everybody else. That's the only reason
Well,
I'm
not
asking.
necessarily, because the selectmen take that merit pool raise, and there's been times they've given people more than the 2.5%.
Well, yeah, and last.
Oh, because you have to distribute
Yeah.
it?
From
Yeah,
there.
last year,
Yeah.
there were 2 people that received 4% increases.
Uh-huh.
That was actually in the budget itself for the town administrator and administrative assistant.
Oh, okay.
But ordinarily, it's not one for one across the board.
Okay.
They vary based on merit.
And quite frankly, if you look at other towns and some of the issues that come up with town clerk, tax collector, things work very smoothly here.
Well, then that brings me to the second one, which says 1.2%, and I don't see a merit pool thing here. Like,
Where do you see one?
So-
for this
Deputy.
deputy?
Yeah,
So what you're looking at is half, that's rounded, so the 1.2 it would really be 2.5 over the course of the full year.
Okay, so
So
there's,
because it's.
but it's not in a merit pool thing, like the administrative part?
No, it is. The way the salaries worked out this year, because we actually accrue the first week back into 2018, because the entire week was performed in 2018.
Right, right.
So there were some adjustments, so some of these look a little differently, but of the 2.5% that she received, what you're seeing here is that this reflects 1.25 higher, which if it were over the course of an entire year would be 2.5%. So it's just reflecting that there was that increase.
So their entire budget is 4,980 higher,
That's correct.
and that is mainly the salaries and the election then?
Yep.
Everything else is zero, right?
That's right.
I move we accept that.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, it's improvements.
Damn, we got the-
We always stick on it.
There we go. There we go. Well, I can tell you that there
I
are
think
2
you'd
things.
be better off if you don't say anything.
I'd be happy to, but I do have to point your attention to the top of page 5. So, we will be probably making I have a meeting with the selectmen tomorrow night. I have notes that they could execute for the architectural and engineering fees from last town meeting. So they're gonna have that option in front of them. I don't know what they're gonna do yet, but if we don't have anything done for the architectural and engineering fees that were paid for at last town meeting, and the police building bond fails, then we'll need to make a, from the floor, a modification for this line so that we have enough interest payments to pay for, to continue to fund that out of our line of credit, if you will, until such time we can secure a note for it.
So.
Is there like
bond
credit as a
fails.
town, like a credit score or something?
We're too small for our own rating.
But it's just hard for us to get lenders if we do.
Well, we do have banks, we work with banks and things like that. We have had notes and credits, but we don't have our own, we're not big enough for our own credit rating.
We shop around every time we get a loan, or we just quickly go for it and say.
Yeah, for the bonds go to the bond bank generally, and that's an auction format. The other notes, it just depends. With our line of credit, we have used Franklin Savings Bank, we've also used Northway in the past. It just depends, but generally speaking, we utilize the bank that we have a primary banking relationship with. That's usually the most beneficial to us rate-wise. But right now, we're looking at a 2.37% rate for our tax anticipation note or line of credit. And we do ours a little differently than most towns, so we draw it down during the year when we need it, and we pay it back as soon as we have the tax money in-house. So we draw it down in the spring, pay it back in the summer, draw it down in the fall, pay it back in the winter. And so we will, this last year, we drew down about $2.2 million twice during the year. And what you have to remember is that outside of the operating budget, what you don't see is that we're having to make payments to the fire district and the school district that account for about almost $8 million outside of what you see in this budget. So that cash flow is why we need that line of credit tax anticipation note. So, and as Selectman Dawson will tell you, I spend a lot of time looking at cash flow when it gets to spring and fall, and sometimes it kind of a little too close. But it's all good. So in any case, that really is the only note I wanted to mention, because that line might have to change depending upon what happens with the police building bond.
And that's a warrant article, right?
That's a warrant
Yeah.
article.
So we should probably wait on that.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
No, you need to have an approved budget to go to public hearing. But it's just something that could be modified at town meeting. The other thing in the long-term debt, I'll just tell you about while we're on it. We just got a refunding of some of the debt. It won't kick in until 2025 through 2036, and it represents about $75,600 over those years, those last 11 years of the sewer debt. And unfortunately, it's not consistently applied through those 11 years, so there's a couple of years where there's nothing in terms of a lower payment, but other ones there are. So, but in any case, it kicks in starting with 2025.
So we're
we'll
getting
see.
some kind of a rebate?
Yeah, so because what the bond bank does is when they can, they'll take these series of notes that they have, and if they can go and refinance it, essentially, they will.
Okay.
And so our portion of the savings is,
But the term of the loan doesn't change if they refinance?
No.
Okay, good.
$75,690 over those 11 years. And just to give you an example, in 2025, the first year, we'll see about $6,500 worth of savings over what our payments would have been that year. So, and that's about the average for the rest of them too, between $6,500 and $7,500.
So they can't get any 0% loans? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should vote on those two
Sure.
separately anyway,
Yes.
finance and the
Finance.
long-term debt. Okay. All right, so, anybody want to make a motion for the total finance?
So, yeah, I'll move we accept about 128,368 for finance and for the long-term debt,
3, 2, 4.
just the
No,
196?
196.
190.
130.
138.
Oh, yeah.
138. What's the other one?
Total
that's
of
the
two.
Oh, they're together, okay. And total together, we could say 324, 506.
324, 506. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So the squawk coming?
I know, I get alerts.
I got one of those earlier.
And I can't believe how windy it is in here, you can hear it.
Yeah, I know,
It's
watching
loud.
her,
Like, I wonder if this
watching
building's
it
gonna blow down. It's been here a long time.
Then it's gonna get 0 to, what, 10 degrees tonight or something?
Yeah, it's gonna be like 13, 14 degrees out.
So the IT budget is up $452. The big things that we had here, so we, in the past, the selectmen, as we were getting our permitting and code enforcement software, which is a hosted application, we had done that as an encumbrance one year, and then we had to pay the $2,700 for it the next year. We did work orders for Public Works this last year in the same way, so now we have to pay the $2,000 for that, so that's what the $4,700 accounts for in the software. But overall, the big project this year is finishing the upgrades of Windows 10, and most of the hardware, is I take things from the court systems that we get. Selectman Dawson was with me. We collected, I think we had 5 systems that we brought back during that time, 4 TVs and a whole bunch of other parts and pieces.
Tons of stuff.
Had a full truck coming back, and in any case, I was able to use all those 5 systems, just requiring a little, licenses for those.
Did you mention it was free?
Oh yeah, it's all free.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, sorry.
Free is the best.
So I was able to reduce the hardware line by $1,214, and I may still underspend that. It's possible. The thing that I don't know is what's going to break this year, and right now I'm struggling with an 18-year-old access control system at the police department that doesn't want to talk to anything later than 2013 release of software, so that's
Like your
big.
key fob, like to get in and out?
So,
I was afraid so if it crashes, it just...
it's, I wish I had a picture to show you guys. It's just unbelievable. It's just ancient. It's been installed, actually, I think it was from '99, but I'm saying 18 years. I think it's 2003, but anyway, or 2 rather. But, so that's the big project during the year. I'm saving some money in supplies because I was planning on eliminating 2 of the color printers, workstation printers that we have, but looks like I'll only be able to eliminate 1 now because, yeah, 2 of the users are gripping onto them with the mouse spread. But we have the Xerox color copier that was
Is this
free.
a color copy right here?
Yeah, this came off.
Great.
This came off the Xerox that was free.
You don't want-
from the courts too.
You don't want color copies?
Oh no, we do. It's just I'm trying to centralize so that they use that because it's got the lowest cost per page. But they would have to go downstairs to retrieve their color copies. Things of that sort.
Can't they use the elevator? Like you made me use tonight?
Anyway, so I'm saving some money there, and we've been really good about really stretching our supplies as much as possible.
I'm surprised your software lines it up there.
Well,
I'm trying
Well,
to,
because of
I'm trying to cut
Windows 10 and
another,
all
well, I have a plan to cut a little more money out of it. I did, originally I had more money for the police department's application for additional users, and we ended up removing that. I ended up removing that part of the selectmen discussion, only because it really is a management issue, and it can be dealt with that.
all these Avatar software is not included in that amount we have already for
No,
Avatar?
no, this is a different
Wow.
group.
All right, I make a motion to fund IT at $101,546.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, and land use, we had some turnover this past year, and we are currently interviewing for land use technician, I believe. So the numbers where you see the actuals, you'll see the land use coordinator that was originally planner, and so that's way underspent for 2019, and the technician was overspent because we were requiring more hours from that person. So in any case, these are pretty much, I think, pretty self-explanatory. The code enforcement officer is on a different plan. He's now on part-time salary. So he receives a set amount each week. He's not hourly anymore. So that's why the reduction there. And then lastly, on the top of page 7, the economic development. This was for the New Hampshire charrette program. And the $6,000 that was budgeted for 19 is being encumbered and will be used for this program because the grant was under review, I believe. So we have to provide the $6,000. So because that was already raised and appropriated in 2019, the selectmen were able to encumber that. And so in addition to the $6,000 that we'll spend, there's a request for $2,000, and that's to improve some of the signage downtown. Jeannie, who's really spearheading this, is wanting to see better signage for parking and things of that sort that are both aesthetically pleasing and also very functional.
Also need lighting
And lighting.
in the parking lot. That
Yes.
people won't use it because it's too dark back there.
They are dark. I would agree.
Well, it's also a safety issue. I mean,
Yeah, no,
I don't like
exactly.
walking because the sidewalk's all dark and, not safe, I don't think.
So total land use was 123, 228.
That's correct.
Can I have a motion?
Can I get a motion for 123, 228?
Second.
Pass that?
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, health and welfare. The only new item here is the senior center transportation grant. And that is, that has to be applied for, but we would have to pay $6,000 plus the maintenance and gas and consumables for a van. But what we get is, from what I understand, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of a $70,000 or $80,000 van is the town's property to use for senior citizens. But I believe it has to be used exclusively for seniors. Is that correct, Selectman Dawson?
That is
So
correct.
they'll
That
come
is
pick me
correct.
up wherever I am.
So we got
Well, I guess it depends on.
Well, it's seniors
How they
and
determine.
handicapped, I believe.
Okay.
Okay.
Seniors and handicapped. Yeah, okay.
Mental handicap is not a.
It doesn't count?
It's still
What is
handicapped.
what is the senior executive committee?
The senior executive committee that's the group that runs the senior center. There's 5 individuals, and they receive stipends as you do.
How often do they meet?
I believe monthly, is that correct?
At least sometimes more often.
Not over lunch? Just kidding.
Are you on that too, Jim? The career here.
The other item here, the general assistance, the welfare director lowered that some so that to be more in keeping with the history that we've seen lately.
Make a motion to pass total health and welfare for 90,880.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That always amazes me. Sometimes you guys ought to just go through other towns and look at what their welfare is.
Well, I know, I mean, it varies.
Economy's good, shouldn't scare you.
Hmm?
Economy's good, shouldn't scare you, surprise you.
So in the public works, keep in mind that there were changes made during the year. Originally, at the beginning of the year, the director technician was paid on an hourly basis, became salary during the year. So The $90,001, that reflects the salary item now, so there's no overtime for him as such, so you'll see the overtime line, which is the third one down, has been reduced by $7,000. We are at a full complement for the crew, so that that is, that's the amount we're looking at for the full year. He does have money for part-time wages, and that can be used either winter or summer as needed. Other items, I know this was discussed before, the equipment purchases, and he has a need to replace one of the zero turns, and I think his plan was to trade in the older, more commercial zero turn and use some additional money, roughly $3,000, to purchase a newer one. Gas diesel was reduced somewhat. Let's see. Winter sand and salt, we are overspent for 19, but some of that I have to look at the final number for the 62,000 because we had some big invoices right at the end of the year on the 30th and 31st. And so more than likely some of that will be accrued into 2020 and out of the 19 expense. But I have to get a number from the Public Works Director to how many tons or some percentage of those invoices.
And he said we'd be in good shape, but I asked him about that.
Yep.
Then we had a lot of weather except that rain.
That's right. I think they had some ice issues.
Well, yeah.
And then let's see, he has moved some things around. I have to tell you, he's very good with his budget. He's very attentive to it, asks a lot of questions. He really watches it very closely. The last item there, the parks, building, and grounds maintenance. So the reason why you're seeing the reduction here is that we're finally receiving the benefit of the town, of the public works staff, having the capacity to do the park. And so
Taking
now
care of the
now we're seeing the
mowing.
savings.
Yeah, that's great.
But it doesn't reflect the hours that they spent.
No, but you don't see that in snow plowing or other
Right.
things.
Right,
They also didn't have to hire extra help
To do
to
it.
do it.
Right, that's
Right.
great.
Yeah,
And they're doing a very good job.
They're able to absorb.
And found the time to fit that in, so it's good.
And it's resource management.
Mhm.
He's very good about it.
He's very good.
And
Yeah.
the work order system, I think, is helping as well, because it's cutting down on sort of the frenetic, bombardment of requests, and he's able to schedule things and organize things so that crews are more efficient in and out.
So I'll move we accept the 638,722 Public Works.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think that's a good place to stop. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, you only have,
Sanitation
you don't want to keep going?
There's only sanitation left.
All right.
No, we got sanitation.
Police
police.
Yes, sanitation.
We're almost through, we're on page 9, we only got a couple more left.
Yeah, you're almost
I guess
there.
it's only police and sanitation.
Let's keep
The-
chipping.
The sanitation, I can tell you, it's very straightforward.
All right, let's go on.
We're looking at a 2% increase, and we're going into our fourth year with Bernard. Everything is based off of those numbers, really. The haulers, we just got a price increase from where the tipping fees, and I'll be requesting the Board of Selectmen increase our billing rate so that we continue to make administrative money on it. The other items here are demo material removal is just, it just really depends, and a lot of that is related to Amnesty Week. So sometimes it can be really low, and other times people can just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. And I think because of the economy, when people are doing a lot of remodeling at home, they're getting a lot of junk to throw out. and-
But we're getting more tax revenue and people's houses don't look so bad, we're
Right.
getting less stuff beside the road.
That's
so-
right, yeah, but I just wanted to explain that. So otherwise, the sanitation portion is $565,558.
And we're still going with recycling?
Yeah, we're still,
Because we're in the
we're capped at $50 per ton. So if this were all trash, we'd be paying $70.39 a ton.
Okay, great.
So we're actually saving money.
Yeah, because I thought at one point we were actually,
Well, from a tipping fee perspective, but we have double the collection cost, so.
yeah, so that's,
So-
how's what's the, is it wash out, so that?
No, it's-
Recycling is
it's
much more expensive.
It's more
Well, that's
expensive.
what I was wondering, I thought we might want to do away with that.
Well, we're in a contract right now, we are looking at, this is the 4th year, and we are starting to look at, options for either in-house or other options.
Well, the problem is that they don't recycle, really, do they? We don't even know what they do with it.
They probably just toss it.
Oh, no,
The incinerator.
No, it goes, no, yeah.
There's not much of a market for
Bernard
it.
actually made a statement.
That's
that
not
they
what
closed
I
a couple of
understood.
cycles at the incinerator because of the recycling fiasco in China. That was
There
on
were,
WWR.
there were some that they did, but from my knowledge, they do take them over to Casella. I talked to somebody recently from Casella.
The problem with recycling is those who do the recycling, in other words, us. If it isn't clean, if we put things in the recycle bins that don't belong there, it is discarded. So my bin full of stuff that shouldn't be there can contaminate the whole load. So when it gets dumped out, that doesn't go to recycling.
They used to have like a 10% rule,
Yeah.
kind of a, if the guys were on the truck and they looked inside and they could see stuff, like, hey, you can't take this. Now, of course, everything's in bags, but now, when it's all dumped on the floor over at Casella, or recycling's not in bags, but when they dump the stuff on the floor, if they perceive too much, I think they have such a low failure rate now that if they see that, it just gets scooped up, and you're right, it would go off to the incinerator,
Mhm.
because you can't pick through it, I mean, it's just, it
They let the
fails.
sorting machines kind of sort
It
through it
fails.
sometimes.
Yeah. So in any
How
case,
many years on contract do we have on that?
we have this year and 21, and we're done. So that total is 565, 558.
Will we accept that?
Second,
Any
Catherine's
more
got it.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Police department.
So the police department is, just keep in mind, officers' wages are not, and there are no increases listed here. They will be listed in the warrant article. So the chief and other people that are combined in some of those salary lines, they are, they are budgeted for 2020, but the increases for the union members are going to be in that warrant article. Outside of that, there's really not a great deal of change here. Health insurance was because of plan changes. Retirement was just simply calculation based on, we took on an additional officer this year, but we also had some people leave. We brought in less expensive officers, so that was pretty much that. Otherwise, there was an increase on the top of page 11 in their equipment maintenance repairs. That line is kind of a catch-all for some of the things that aren't in the IT department, and one of which is their forensic item for collecting data off of cell phones. So a bad guy comes in and they can get all the text messages, they can get all the data off of the cell phones, but it requires $3,700 license.
It's a cell
each year.
bright license.
That's correct.
It's a vehicle inspection machine, what's that?
So that's actually for the state inspections.
So they got the wireless tail and everything, new up-to-date machine?
It's, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but,
So the New Hampshire like inspection for cars and stuff?
oh, yeah. So
They
we do,
updated it this year.
yeah, so we do our own inspections, and that's
Why is that
actually,
in PD, not?
because, well, the majority of it
I
is,
asked that question.
so we are portioning it, so the majority of it is DPD because of the size of the fleet. And And that's why it was originally brought in, but we've got an agreement now between the chief and the public works director, we're splitting it between them.
Okay.
So,
So
but
that's
that's where part of this gets charged to in the police department line.
And then why is there vehicle, I know you don't really know, I wish we had the public works director here for
Yep.
vehicle maintenance, for shopping around.
So we,
for parts.
they do,
I don't think he does shop around enough for parts, for tires and stuff.
I
I think
couldn't,
we use one single supplier. I think I mentioned that last couple of years ago. And that's why. And I know,
He's only been public works director for a year.
well, it was like last year, and then the other, that was my first year here. Last year I mentioned to him, he said, oh yeah, we only use Northern Tire. And I said, well, you shop around? And he said, yes, and they haven't shopped around this year.
I thought he had gone to Sullivan at one point, but Northeast has the state contract for Jeep, or it's a general, Goodyear, Goodyear. One of them, there's a set fee that you pay, and they're not the only ones, I don't believe, but.
Town Fair Tire is actually a lot better, and they deliver, and if we have a tire machine, they do loose tires, and they actually do mounting and balancing for our town. And I've told them that before, they do deliveries, and they're the most competitive rate guaranteed, by far. I mean, that's gonna cut our 20-30% easily.
Well, in any case,
Town Fair?
Because they should shop around, like, especially with parts and stuff, we should be shopping around not using the most expensive parts provider in town. We should probably try to, every part, you should definitely at least call 2 places, O'Reilly or someone else, because both of them have low price guarantees.
yeah, we use, I know that we use O'Reilly's, we use Snell's, we
We
use.
used to know a lot.
We use them a lot less than we used to. We use O'Reilly a lot. And then Fisher, is it Fisher? Or Robbins?
Robbins, yeah,
Robbins, yeah.
they're the big money ones.
Yeah.
I like Robbins, but they are expensive.
Okay. And then every
Very
once in a
good
while,
service.
we have to get something from Ford. But they have not received a new vehicle in the last year. So the last vehicle they got was a 2018 model.
We got that in 2019, so we technically did
Well,
get a vehicle this year, but we
didn't-
paid for it last.
We didn't, yeah, I mean, we're continuing to pay for it, but we didn't get we didn't authorize one in 2019, let me put it that way. And also, there's some rubs with that, because they've got problems at the factory where they make them, and it's a new model year, and the stuff doesn't fit, like the cage won't fit anymore, so you can't take it from the old car, put it in the new car. These are the police interceptors, the Explorer version, if you will. So, and I called around all over the Northeast trying to find a late model police interceptor sitting on a lot somewhere, and there wasn't one, couldn't find one. I called Massachusetts.
Should have went for the Tahoes.
Well, that's what they say.
They're much cheaper to own over time. Oh, well.
So in any case,
That Honda doesn't make one.
Yeah.
London, I Honda Civic.
I think the chief was actually
They're more
talking to
expensive.
you guys
They're
about
more
electric
expensive. They're very
vehicles.
expensive.
Yes, he was.
Or the same, but these
Yeah.
Fords, unfortunately, they come down to that. They're not good ugly cars.
They do run that way.
Yeah, for turbos, so turbos and ugly, that's great.
So I move we accept the police at $2,184,919.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Let the record show I voted no. Please.
Let the record show what?
I voted no.
Okay.
I think you've got all the others
Yeah,
covered.
I think so.
What about the culture and recreation and outside agency? We already did the outside agencies, right?
It's all done.
Did culture and recreation?
No, I don't think you did.
No.
So I've,
No, you haven't. The only ones you've done there are Hall Library and Old Home Day,
No.
that you approved those.
so
I
I
have
put a
a
motion
question.
for 168, 236.
Second.
Discussion? I have some discussion. I don't understand why we're paying $5,000 for the 150th celebration and paying money to the parks, or, it seems to me, duplicate things. Because when they came in and talked about the 150th celebration, talked about ongoing things like summer fair and things like that. I thought Parks was responsible for those things.
No, but it's not in the parks. The
No.
parks events are in the
Okay.
parks. We
Okay.
don't do summer fair, we don't do the Main Street,
Recreationally oriented, not,
Okay,
don't do Main Street events.
right.
all right.
Any more discussion?
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So that was the 168,236, is that correct?
Yes.
And then the outside agency is the last one, right?
We already did them.
We already
And I think you've got,
Gotta do the total now?
I can give you the total. The total that you've approved so far is, and with the caveat of $1,500 in Waypoint, zero in New Hampshire Association of the Blind, and zero in Red Cross, and 500 in CASA. That total was $166,295.
I put a motion for 166,295.
Second.
Second, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion, how come ours adds up different than theirs? 162,288, the selectmen, and
Well,
we should
because
be lower with the 15.
Because we didn't vote for Genesis.
they didn't vote for Genesis.
Oh, where's that?
They voted 3,000 for Waypoint. For some reason, the budget committee voted $7 more for youth assistance. And then the Pines Community Center, the budget committee voted their requested amount, but the selectmen.
No, we didn't. We level funded them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's what-
well, their
Okay.
request,
Okay.
but the
Okay.
selectmen level funded them from last year's budget.
And which one's Genesis, you said?
That's
Mental
Registry for
health.
Mental Health.
Um,
So on the Pines though, so in 2019, the budget for the Pines was $67,250. That's what the selectmen approved. The budget committee had approved the $69,750, which is what the request was for 2020.
No, we
No,
level
no,
funded at
we level funded it.
67,250.
No,
Yeah, we
no.
level funded.
Right.
And that could be Marina's note, but we did level fund them.
She's got here $69,750.
No.
Oh, I
No,
see.
it's wrong.
She wrote in the wrong thing,
All
yeah.
right, so we just
It's
write it down or no?
67,250.
67?
No, it was the wrong amount.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
166.
All right, so it's 163,795 then.
All right, that number.
163,795.
Let's over that second.
Yeah.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You are done.
We are done.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Do we have a meeting next Wednesday?
I'm trying to catch the rest of Jeopardy.
I'm great.
We'll talk about that, you know.
It's just that I don't get